Hello guys, and welcome to a new Still Division video today by me, Vulcan. Today I have for you game 3 of a best of 3 between Guddi and O'Neill, and this is round 2 of the Great Paradox Tourney. So in the first game of this series we saw O'Neill defeat Guddi with his 21st Panzer on Hill 112 against Guddi's 15th Infantry Scots. Then in the second game we saw Guddi come back with his 2nd Armoured, absolutely ran over O'Neill's 352nd Division after the M8s managed to get into range of those AT guns with their 50 cals. So great job by Guddi to bring it back to 1-1. And now we're moving on to Cheux, where we're going to be seeing the 2nd Infantry take on the 21st Panzer. So O'Neill back on a division that did him well previously. Guddi now moving over to the 2nd Infantry, which is his 3rd different division on the Allied side so far. Now the 2nd Infantry is quite well suited for this map in that it has the infantry to combat the town, as well as the 1,200 meter range units to engage in the open. As for O'Neill, it's pretty similar, although the infantry isn't as good, so things like Panzer Grenadiers aren't going to be as good in the town. However, you can support the town with things like the Raketenwerfer and other interesting artillery units that can help you pin down enemy forces in those close town engagements. So Panzer IV C going to be coming out for the town early on. We have the mortar there as well. Speed through it for the top side. We are going to be seeing quite a lot of recon, I would suspect. The 222 going to be moving towards the middle with some recon there. A couple of AT guns down the bottom side. Even the Pak 43 actually going to be unleashed at the start here, with a Pak 38 in the middle. Over on the side of Guddi, it's going to be Ranger Marauders, most likely in the bottom side with a 30 cal. Then we have the AT gun for the mid, which could definitely be the M5 gun with the 1,200 meter range at the start, and that's accompanied by Ranger Leader. We have the Ranger Marauders with the machine gun again there. Another combination, probably just to hold the front line forwards with the machine gun, and then the Ranger Marauders are there to sort of cover the roads and make sure that the 21st Panzer doesn't have the mobility it needs or wants. Then we have quite an interesting combination of units heading towards the town. Probably Ranger Supports or Ranger Assaults with the Pioneers there. Or like some flame unit, I think. Then we have the command there. There was a machine gun placed down, which probably would have been trying to go for the church, but might not have been the best idea. Seems that that's been placed down onto a lower road, maybe going for this building, because covering this road and these two buildings here is quite important. Then we have the mortar to cover that, and another Marauder squad with an AT gun up on the very top side. So not too much extra going down, just the infantry added for this push into the town for O'Neill. Let's maybe talk about the win conditions for both players. I think in the early game, O'Neill can do quite a lot of damage if he uses things like the Panzerhaubitze or the S307 pack to take out things like the M7 priests that the 2nd Infantry could bring. But if the 2nd Infantry doesn't bring those, then it could be quite hard to break through early on, because the Ranger Marauders are really annoying to deal with. So it's going to be up to the recon to really find those Ranger Marauders and other 2nd Infantry units in order for the 21st Panzers to succeed in the early phases and moving into Phase B and C. In Phase C, things get a lot easier for O'Neill, I feel. Just with the introduction of things like the King Tiger, which can really control an entire area of the map, especially down on this bottom side where the map's very open. As for the 2nd Infantry, it's really going to be whether or not he can win the engagement in this town convincingly enough, and then control the rest of the map whilst doing that. Because he does have the 1,200 meter range M5 guns, but if that M5 gun dies early on and the 20mm autocannons break through, that could be quite devastating. So we'll have to wait to see if that happens. But yeah, it's basically down to making those M5 guns control the bottom side of the map, and later on getting them into positions where they can ambush the heavier tanks that he's going to be coming up against. Although it's going to be like all the way until phase C, so he's got a lot of room to work with in the earlier phases, and those M5 guns can be devastating to the earlier units that the 21st Panzer has, so I'd like to see him play around that as much as possible. But this has been a relatively long deployment. I think both players are probably, quite nervous moving into this last game. It's all on the line here. Either player wins and they will move on to round 3. And that's, of course, exactly what they want to do. So let's just speed up the deployment and get the game underway. And we'll see exactly where the troops are going. So we have unload at position commands here, with following up with attack move commands for the half tracks. We have the SBW-222 going to be dropping off some recon on the bottom side of the town. Speed troop going to the mid. Couple units here as well. And the PaK-43 is actually unloading quite far up, which is quite scary considering how fast the units of the 2nd Infantry can be quite early on. But now we have the infantry coming into this town, and this engagement's going to be something to watch, because if Gallon Neal can secure the town early on with his 20mm autocannons, that could do him a lot of favours. There's no Ranger Marauder in here. There's a Ranger Marauder on the top side, but no Ranger Marauder actually in the town itself. So if he uses the 259 in conjunction with the Panzer Grenadiers, he could pin down the Ranger Support and Ranger Assault quite easily. And here we go. Here's the engagement. Panzer Grenadiers have been caught in the open, so the Ranger Sport's going to do quite a lot of damage to those, but the 259 is moving up here and is finding the shots it wants onto these units. 60mm mortar now coming down on top of the U304 in the middle. Marauders just moving up into position. M5 gun is currently on return fire, looking for the shot onto the 259, I would assume. So the Ranger Assaults did die there to the 259 as they tried to retreat. U304 can move over and help with the attack onto the Ranger Support, although the Panzer Grenadiers have been forced to fall back due to the 60mm mortar. These Panzer Grenadiers need to start running back to the fight, and it seems as though another unit is coming in, which is going to be a mortar carrier to maybe counter battery the 60mm mortar. Ranger Leader trying to get up here. They can probably get the TNT on target here, and that would do a nice amount of damage to something like a 259 or the U304. Is going to miss this time around. But the mortar's continuing to come down, which is doing quite a lot of morale damage to the 259. More reinforcements coming in. After the initial damage dealt by the 259, it has left Guddi quite light in terms of units. So reinforcing the infantry early on is quite a good idea. U304 discovers where the Ranger Marauders are on the top side of the town, and it's going to be up to Gallon Neal to keep an eye on where those are and maybe try and kill them off, because it's pretty important to kill these Ranger Marauder squads just so that your 259 and your other half tracks don't get killed off. And here another Ranger Marauder being brought up by Guddi. Very good choice indeed. Again, you want to stop these 20mm autocannons as quickly as possible. Space Troop have spotted the M1 gun in the top side, and the 257 is going to be engaging that. U304 going to be pinned down here. It looks like the Panzer Grenadiers moved right into line of sight of that. Fortunately in range of the Panzer Grenadier, which are going to stop them from surrendering straight away. So if Gallon Neal can find this kill onto the M1 gun here, actually, he might do quite a lot of, or he might gain quite a lot of ground by that dying. That would open up a nice sort of salient on the top side, and currently Gallon Neal is pushing with a +1 currently. This Ranger Assault moving into the church and getting absolutely hammered there. Another Panzer Grenadier has been brought up. I quite like the fact that Gallon Neal's brought this in straight away, even though his other Panzer Grenadier aren't dead yet. I think that's actually really, really good to see, because he's basically made himself have a backup. in case the infantry runs forwards very quickly and ends up killing his Panzergrenadier. Right, the U304 has come in here. That's going to unload at this position. In the mid though, M1919 going to be found by the Spear Troop, and the 222 is going to cut that down. And this is kind of what I was talking about with the win condition for the 21st Panzer in A and B, is using his recon effectively to find units that he can then kill with his 20mm autocannons. The other thing is finding this M5 gun. If he finds that with his recon, he can play around that, maybe get a mortar to come in and kill that, and then carry on from there. But at the moment in the town, we are going to be seeing the 257 continue its mortar fire. We have the 251 here actually pinning down the M1 gun. That could definitely like charge that down at this point. But more half tracks coming in to support this push, and then Panzer IV-C now on the way. 259 also joining. And I would say one thing that's kind of interesting about Cheux is that a lot of these buildings have multiple sight lines leading towards them. So you can see how this 259 all the way back here can fire at these buildings. And that's quite simply because there's so many gaps in these buildings that wherever your like armoured vehicles are, they can always fire at something. And that's something that Gallo is doing very well at the moment. Marauders there going to be killed off. Very nice indeed. And all of these units being pinned down by the mortar fire and the 259 is pretty devastating at the moment. It means these Panzer Grenadiers are completely unscathed. We do see the T-30s now come up though, and these are two-star T-30s. Could very easily clean up the U304s. First of which is going to go down there. And it's really up to those T-30s to use their HE to kill off the Panzergrens as well, which is definitely something that's happening. Mortar fire still coming down onto these Ranger supports. Panzer Grenadiers are going to try and push forwards here. I would like to see this M1919 actually jump across to this building, because that 3-star 30 cal could demolish a Panzer Grenadier that's not in cover. And currently it looks like the U304s are just killing the M1919 for free. Smoke rounds are going to be coming down to try and block off the fire of the T-30s into the town. However, that's just going to enable them to move up and kill the 251. The 30 cal in the bottom was killed. And it looks like with the range marauders dead here as well, it's going to be quite hard for Guddi to defend this in the town. He needs to get these ranger marauders to actually attack the 259 there. There we go, that's one shot in there. Track wheel damage. Needs to then move them out of the tree line and into the smoke before they get killed off, because they are going to take a lot of damage every time they get revealed. However, this time just getting pinned down. Ooh, T-30 there gets bailed out by what looks like the Pak-38. That was a fantastic shot from the Pak-38. Zero veterancy. Gets the bailout. And going to be finished off there as well. So one of the T-30's gone down. U304s have definitely proven very useful throughout the game so far. And now we've got to see if the Panzer IV-C and the Pak-38 can take out this T-30, because if they can, then that's going to leave things very open on the top side, especially with the range of marauders going down as well. Opens up a lot of room for Gallo to run forwards with the 20mm. So in the mid, with the AT gun going down here, or with the 30 cal going down here, the 222 hasn't made much more progress because an M4 was brought in. But there is still a range marauder squad at the bottom side. The one up here died. The M4 now going to be going for the shots onto the 222. Will likely come into range of the Pak-38 though, so it has to be a little bit careful, because it could get pinned, the M4, or suffer a side shot. That was almost a side shot. If that Pak-38 had hit, that would have been devastating. Let's keep an eye on this engagement. Oh, that's a bailout from the Pak-38 onto the M4. That is a big deal indeed. Spear Troop going to be running towards that tank and trying to make the ground for the 222. Not sure if the spear troop can make that surrender. I'll have to wait and see. I don't think they can. So it's going to be up to the 222 in order to do that. But that's currently got its engine destroyed, so that's not going anywhere. Maybe the U304 could zoom down here and get rid of it. Although with it being bailed out, it's only a matter of time before the Pak-38 actually kills it off. There's not actually too much recon, or infantry, sorry, in this town at the moment at Cheux. Whereas there is for Guddi. Like, for Gallowneal, there's only 8 Panzergrenadiers in 2 squads. There is some reinforcements just arriving now, and there's some Panzergrens further back here. But this is multiple units of rifles arriving. Plus, there's still the Ranger supports here, and the Ranger assault. But it looks like the Panzer IV-C has found direct line of sight onto the Ranger mortar here. And without the mortar support, Guddi could be in trouble, actually. Because this mortar's run out of ammunition. The new mortar was in line of sight briefly. It seems as though an M1 gun has been brought up. That's going to be fired at by the Panzer IV-C. The M1 gun doesn't kill the Panzer IV-C, it's probably dead itself. Yeah, 2 shots coming down there. That is a dead M1 gun. Now these rifles have taken quite a lot of morale damage as they moved up. The M1 did just die there as well. But yeah, Panzergrens are being forced to fall back. Ranger mortar though has been pinned by the U304 and killed off. So no new mortar support for Guddi at this point. And with that M4 gone down here as well, there's a nice little salient in the middle of the map that Gallowneal is taking great advantage of at the moment. So with no AT gun, no Ranger Marauders, these U304s are pretty safe to push right into the face of these rifles and Ranger supports, just as long as they remain out of range of the hand grenades, the 50-meter range. They're absolutely fine to just continue moving forwards like this. Bofors has been brought in. I feel like that's a bit of a waste of points, honestly, especially if he's going to leave it in line of sight of things like these Panzer IVs. We do see Gallowneal rolling on forwards now with his Panzer Grenadiers. I feel like he's had the momentum for the majority of the game so far, and Guddi's really been pushed onto the back foot from the get-go. Some really nice engagements coming out from Gallowneal. So an M4A1 is on the way for Guddi, and that could definitely help clean up things like the Panzer IVs and all of these half-tracks. Just has to be careful not to get ambushed by the Pak-38s that are still hanging about. Jeep 30 Cal is trying to run down some spear troop. Interesting little play there. You'd expect the Jeep 30 Cal to actually get killed off by the spear troop, but with the M5 gun opening up there, that's going to help those pinned down, and the Jeep 30 Cal might get the surrender, although the 257 now has a target directly onto the M5 gun, which could see that die, and if it does, there is a Panzer IV-C here waiting to move on. And one thing that might be interesting is pushing forward this Pak-43 to get shots onto the M5 gun as well. Although Guddi currently moving the M5 gun away. So the second 60mm mortar now being hit pretty damn hard. Rifle squads that were in the town have been either pushed out or killed. And things looking very good for Gallowneal at the moment, although with this arrival of the M4A1, there's not too much that can challenge that other than the Pak-38s. And the Pak-38s, even then, they only have, 10 AP versus 9 armor. So this M4A1 could do a lot of work. 50 cals now arriving as well. And those can help pin down the half-tracks, which would be good to see. Internal fragments there for the Panzer IV-C. That's going to annihilate its ammo. And that's going to be forced to fall back, moving out of range of the M4A1 entirely. We also saw the Pak-38 up here die. Now this 257 has received some ammunition from the Opel Blitz munition, so I would not be surprised to see that start to try and hammer some of this reinforcing infantry. But for now, just smoking off the U304s, making sure that he keeps alive as many units as he can, so that he doesn't lose the momentum on this top side. Because currently, Guddi has been reacting to everything that Gallo Neal's been doing, and he wants to keep it that way. So Guddi, what he needs to do is get some significant kills here, and then he can start to force Gallo Neal to react to what he's doing. Although with a +1 across the board at the moment, it's going to be quite hard for Gallo Neal to come back in this game, because pushing into this town and trying to retake it, especially as you get into the later phases of the 2nd Infantry, is very hard actually. Because you've run out of your decent infantry, and you're going to be relying on like the rifles to make ground, which aren't as good as things like Panzer Grenadiers, which allows then the 21st Panzer to gain an advantage. Panzer IV-G versus the M4A1. Oh, the 2-star Panzer IV-G actually missed its shot, and is going to get track damage there, and is going to go down. That is a big deal actually. Gallo Neal, you know, reacting to the M4A1 with that Panzer IV, and was really hoping that he would get the kill. But with the M4A1 aim time, it just got on target so damn quickly, and did the job. 251 also going down to a second M4 now arriving. This one, the Double D, 2-star veterancy alongside the command. Going to be finishing off Panzer IV-C. Slowly but surely, Gallo Neal's units are being picked off in this town, and there is only one squad of Panzer Grenadiers holding it with 2 health. Panzer Grenadiers have been trying to move across the open down here, but P-38 Lightning brought in to stop that from happening. Just a matter of time really until this Panzer IV-C gets overrun. And I think maybe Gallo Neal has run out of infantry for this phase, and might be waiting until phase C now in order to bring in more infantry reinforcements. Another Panzer IV on the way, this time a Panzer IV-H. Has a similar aim time to the M4s, although I still believe the M4s are faster, but much better equipped for the closer range engagements because of that. Pak 43 almost finds the kill onto the M4. Just going to be forcing that back for now. And Guddi isn't being too aggressive in this town, even though he has killed off some significant units, especially with the Panzer IV-G going down, and one of the Panzer IV-Cs. This Panzer IV-C also took internal fragments, so if he remembers that, then he would know that that's not a threat either. 259 is going to be going down there. Focke-Wulf 190 coming in to deal with the P-38. And the Pak 43 now pinned down by the 50 cal. So that could take quite a lot of damage if Gallo Neal is not too careful. U304 getting some free hits onto the rifles on the bottom side. And I can't believe an SBW-222 with an engine destroy is still holding this middle side of the map. Panzer IV-G now moving down here. Gotta be a bit careful with that, because the M5 gun is still perfectly alive. You mustn't have seen that kill. Like, there's no way that he thought that's dead after one volley from a 257. And it seems as though this M5 gun might get the kill there. So I said before that the 2nd Infantry player needs to play around this M5 gun, and if this M5 gun can get some significant kills, that's really, really good actually. And it looks like the Panzer IV-G here is going to suffer greatly for moving into range of that M5 gun, and is going to die. Pak 43 is finding shots on target, and there is the 257 that can also then fire away. But yeah, up in the town, we are seeing the rifles start to make ground with the support of these tanks. One of the Panzer IV-Cs going down there. The second one still has no ammo. The xylophone has been forced back for now. Looks like due to mortar fire. And Gallo Neal spotting that, I'm assuming, with the Aufklärer down here. The M5 gun dead in this tree line. Gallo Neal did see that pop up, and now he's going to try and take advantage with the U304 on the bottom side. So another thing that I mentioned was it's going to be very hard for Guddi to push into this town without neglecting the bottom side. And it looks like that's kind of what's happening here at the moment. With the M5 gun gone, he was relying on it a lot, and that's opened up a huge salient with this U304. So it's a matter of whether or not Guddi can make up the ground in the top side enough to kind of cancel out the ground that Gallo Neal's making on the bottom. But that's easier said than done. We've moved into phase C. Gallo Neal's bringing up some more Panzer Grenadier reinforcements. And this Pak 43 is currently firing at this M4 from out of range. The M4 cannot fire back. It's only a matter of time until the Pak 43 gets a shot on target and gets the kill there. However, it is going to be changing target onto these rifles. Not the best idea. 257 now finding shots onto the M5 gun. This Speertrupp spotting that. Speertrupp pinning down the rifles. They probably should have been left on return fire, because that was providing a lot of useful information on the top side. Now I'm pretty sure that Gallo Neal is going to be relatively blind to these units up here, although the M5 gun is revealing itself by firing into the town. So the U304 here, it went a little bit too far, ended up getting itself surrounded, so it is going to be falling back. There is the arrival of the MGMC here and a couple units of infantry, and that's what Guddi's going to be choosing to try and stem the attack on this bottom side. However, Pak 43 could very easily take out the MGMC. There is the 2-star Focke-Wulf to worry about, so this P38 Lightning probably won't be around for very long. And we have a couple units of rifles. And with the Panzer IV-C actually pushing forwards here, this isn't necessarily the best choice. Xylophone is going to be pinning down the Pak 43, which is a nice kill indeed. Pak 38 is engaging the M4 at max range, but M4 can probably shrug off most of the shots from the Pak 38 and kill it. So it's really going to come down to, whether or not Guddi can get to the other side of this town, so he can open up some of the sight lines, maybe bring in some M5 guns, and then he can, use that as a springboard to make even more ground. But for now, that's not happening just yet, as the Panzer Grenadiers are still alive, and will be able to take up defensive positions, as ground is still being made on this bottom side. Focke-Wulf 190 engaging the P38. MGMC is here. Pak 43 moving forward, so is the Panzer IV, going to be forcing those rifles away. Also forcing the Jeep 30 cal away. And if both of those units died, imagine the salient that would form here. Oh, that's a big kill. Panzer IV-H did just take out the M4DD up at the top side. Very, very nicely done. Also, the M4A1 is struggling on the other side of this town. Took a transmission damage as it was forced to fall back. Panzer Grenadiers now engaging rifles. Brummbart brought in to help out. Looks like Brummbart was hit by the M4DD. But the Pak 43 currently moving up to look for that engagement, and at that range, it's quite likely he's going to hit. Critical ammo explosion for the M4DD, and that is another important tank of Guddi's falling at this point in the game. P38's going to be forced to fall back due to fuel. Gabby has been brought in to try and help out Pips here. And honestly, Gallo Neal could just, at that moment, fly away. And he would be fine. It looks like these Flakverlings are going to be saving Pip's ass anyway. So that's fine. Gabby and Pip's just going to be saying goodbye to each other and flying in the opposite direction. The 257 going to be continuing to engage rifles here, which should allow the Panzer Grenadiers to maybe move up and force some surrenders, especially considering There is no veterancy on these. The Ranger leader's too far back. M4DD going to be trying to kill off some of these half-tracks still. And currently it's 52% territory lead for Gallo Neal, mainly due to Guddi making back some ground on the top side. But those rifles not going to last too long. And if a half-track is pushed up to this top side, these rifles will be dead very shortly as well. But this is good. This is stalling the game quite a lot for Guddi. However, Gallo Neal still counting up the points past 1,365 now. Befell Panzer 4H engaging the M4A1. Both tanks missing there. Oh, and that's going to be forced to fall back. And it looks like that's the track's destroyed. So the Befell Panzer 4 isn't going anywhere. And we also see the M5 gun hitting the Pak-43. So the Pak-43 going to be dead. Brumbar might finish off the M5 gun though, never mind. Going to be firing at the M4A1. Does he have line of sight? No, he does not. So the M5 gun there just taking out that half-track, taking out the Pak-43. Morse is opening up onto the M5 gun. The Befell Panzer 4 is currently pinned with tracks destroyed. So it's only a matter of time until the M4A1 kills that off. Looks like the M4A1's more worried about this Brumbar at the moment though. Interesting. I kind of feel like Guddi has quite a nice chance to like bounce back off this. But with the 257 killing the M5 gun, that's not going to be a dead Brumbar anytime soon. But still could be a very dead Befell Panzer H. So the Focke-Wulf 190 coming in with the strafing run onto the M4A1, just going to try and give as much time to this Panzer 4H as possible. Down here, however, we do see the Pak-38 trying to kill off the Jeep 30 Cal. I'm not sure why this M5 gun's on return fire. That could definitely be used to kill the Pak-38 there quite nicely. And there is quite a build-up of forces on this bottom side, so maybe moving across the open with the Panzer Grenadiers and then the U-304s for sort of cover, especially with these flak-fillings as well, actually. That could work out very well, and if there was any vehicles down here, then the Pak-43 would sort that out. Oh, did the Brumbar just kill the M4A1 there with a HE shell? I think it did. That's incredible. Very, very well done by Gallo Neal to get that kill. And, well, a little bit of luck went with that. His Befell Panzer 4 still alive. And is currently being repaired by the Opel Blitz munitions. So I think this is the first time that I'm actually going to see a repair come down in these competitive games. And that will allow this Panzer 4 to maybe go for the engagement onto the M4 Double D on the bottom side of the town. Sorry about my camera today, guys. It has been jumping in and out kind of randomly, honestly. P-38's got a lot of time on target onto this Focke-Wulf 190. Maybe the fact that it's got the morale damage might stop that getting the kill. Yeah, I don't think it got enough shots on target. Okay, we are seeing the Panzer Grenadiers now push forwards with the support of the U-304s, like I said. Any infantry that reveal themselves are going to get hammered by the AA here, as well as the half-tracks and the mortar. So M1919 constantly pinned. Befell Panzer 4 is engaging the M4. Oh, driver wounded. Befell Panzer 4 actually missed. Another Panzer 4H engaging from a distance here. Can he get the shot off? Okay, he's actually engaging the rifles instead. That was definitely close. That Befell Panzer 4 nearly getting killed by the M4. Not quite. Wow. This U-304 has actually broken through and captured the duck that was sat here reloading the 60mm mortar. That's quite impressive. Rifles down here being annihilated and surrendered by the U-304, I would assume. And yeah, ground constantly being made now for Gallo Neal. He's just had this game under his control for the majority of the time, and it's really starting to pay off now, moving into the later phases where his units are just in general quite a bit stronger than the second infantry. So just really, really well played across the board. The M5 gun finally kills off the Pak-38 as these rifles move forwards. And that's going to stem the +2 for the time being. But with these rifles now revealing themselves, only a matter of time until they get pinned down. The half-track comes in and makes a surrender. And that opens up the bottom side of the map. So 10 minutes remaining. Gallo O'Neill going to win the game in 6 minutes and 40 seconds. At this point, Guddi may as well fight to the death, just because it is the final game of the series, and whoever wins this will move on to the next round in the tournament. So it's just a matter of really Guddi, or Gallo O'Neill, sorry, making mistakes with these Panzer IVs, which leads to the kills with the M4s onto those, and then maybe, you know, Guddi can make some ground back. However, currently, things really falling apart. M5 gun has found a shot onto the SDK of Z71. Very likely to kill that, however, looks like it just got out of range in time. U304 now driving up this road. Very odd positioning for that. Probably just a quick fast move to try and make some territory. And rifle's dead there as well. So the town now falling back in favour of Gallo O'Neill. Really nice sort of pushback by Guddi. But like I mentioned before, it's going to be very hard for Guddi to like push into the town without neglecting the bottom side. And that's kind of exactly what happened. Gabby going to be engaging a Focke-Wulf there. There is quite a lot of AA though for Gallo O'Neill. And that might mean that the engagements go in favour of Gallo O'Neill, and the Focke-Wulf's probably going to shoot down Gabby and the Thunderbolt soon after. Well, they're both Thunderbolts, but Gabby is the ace there. The bomber actually getting out alive. MGMC was brought in at the spawn to try and deter those kills. I believe this ME-109 still has rockets. Yep, M1 gun survived. Holy moly. I can't believe that one of those rockets didn't actually hit on target. Did do some damage, but didn't actually get the kill. That's quite incredible. So, Panzer IV-C actually going down here to most likely the M5 gun. And I believe that had line of sight down the street. I've also been the M4A1 as well. But the Panzergren's making quite a lot of ground. Ranger Mortar trying to pin those down. But with the Befehl, or with the normal Panzer IV moving around the bottom side, I might be able to do some damage to these units. Looks like the Befehl Panzer died at some point. Was that one? I thought that was a Panzer IV-C, but if that was the Befehl Panzer IV-H, then that would make more sense as to where it went. We do have Nispel coming in his King Tiger. Going to be hammering these rifles with the help of the Gepard and so on. And that's just going to basically secure the center of the map for the rest of the game. We might see the Thunderbolt bombers come in, but there is a lot of AA for Gallo O'Neill, and he's done it the right way round. He's brought in the AA first, and then the King Tiger second, which does mean that the King Tiger won't be pinned and eventually killed off due to airstrikes. That's generally what happens with King Tigers. People just like air spam it, and then eventually like an AT gun or something will get a side shot because it's falling back. But here we're seeing the Panzer IV actually find line of sight onto the reinforcing roads into the town, which is actually really nice because it just prevents the infantry from moving freely in there and basically stops Guddi's pushing power on that side of the map. On the bottom side, an M7 is being brought up. However, the Pak-43 should be able to deal with that should the M7 roll into range. Now, the M7 can do the fire position trick where you fire just out of range of the Pak-43 and get the sort of stun damage in. But in this case, it looks like Guddi's just going to end up rolling that into direct line of sight of the Pak-43. And the Pak-43 is likely to kill that off. And we do see that the flak filling He's in a very good position to stop the bomber from doing its job as well. The M7's dead. Very nice indeed. Nispel's still pushing forwards. The Panzer IV-H still hitting units that are reinforcing. We saw MU-109 come in there and hit these two units of rifles as they pushed forwards in front of the M4A1. There's not actually anything to kill this M4A1 on the top side of the town, but I don't think he necessarily needs to. As long as he has Panzergrenades in this town here. Like, there's always the risk of a Panzerfaust if the M4A1 comes too close. But with that M7 dead down here, it's only a matter of time really until more units surrender. You can see them all running into the tree line there. The others running away. That must be very disheartening for the reinforcing rifles running into that tree line. They do not want to be there. But moving in at the right angle does allow them to only engage the Panzer Grenadiers and the Spear Troop rather than the U-304 and the Flakvling as well. This Panzer IV-H, is it looking for a sneaky shot onto the M4A1? Could definitely... You can see that little line there to the top right. He might be able to just sneak a shot onto the M4A1. Double Focke-Wulfs there going to be used to take out an M5 gun though. And the U-304 is going to be dead to the M4A1. So +2 currently for Gallo Neal, and there is literally no chance of Guddi coming back in this game at this point, unless, for whatever reason, you know, it turned into a +5 for Guddi. So just really to sum up, Gallo Neal just did what he needed to. He held back the 2nd Infantry in the town, even made it his advantage early on. And Guddi really needed to play around the M5 gun in the mid, but I feel like he had it on return fire when he could have got some significant kills. And yeah, what ended up happening was, because of the pressure that Gallo Neal put onto the town, Guddi was forced to fight back, obviously, but it then left the bottom side of the map open to the 21st Panzer, which they can definitely take advantage of a lot more than the 2nd Infantry. So there you have it, 36 minutes and 37 seconds. That's going to be a victory for Gallo Neal, who is going to move on to round 3 of the Great Paradox Tourney. Very, very nice game indeed. Guddi not giving up, letting Gallo Neal hit the 2,500 points. Just well played by both players. Unfortunately, Guddi, I think, like I said, overcommitted to the town at one point, and it left the bottom side open. And that's pretty much the story of the game. M5 gun did get quite a few kills in the end. 259 Panzer IV-G. M4A1 though, that was a really, really nice unit to bring in. Definitely cleaned up a lot, and probably could have pushed harder off those kills, but didn't. And that's one way that Guddi probably could have come back into the game at one point. M5 gun. Again, these M5 guns do really, really well, and I was saying that he needed to play around them. And these M4A1s also showed up as well. Look at that, another M4A1, really getting a lot of kills. So considering how many kills these M4A1s got, you would have assumed at some point in the game there would have been a chance for him to push further, but not this time round. Losses going to multiple units of the 21st Panzer. The Fell Panzer H staying alive for a very long time. It was incredibly lucky that that one didn't die, which was rather amusing. But yeah, Panzer IV-C is also doing a great job, and the Pak 38 there taking out both of the T-30s HMCs is quite a big deal indeed. But anyway guys, that's where I'm going to leave it for now. That leaves Gallo Neal to move on to round 3. Guddi, commiserations, is going to be knocked out of the tournament. But thanks for watching guys, hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.